Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this episode, I think we'll be, first of all, making sure that this area that we put in last episode near Stockton actually works and receives the resources it needs, but then I think we'll be coming back to our highway network that we left off over here, and I think we'll finally extend this across the river and maybe connect up to Winston-Salem and Albuquerque. So those two cities can then be connected by private transportation to our main network. Not sure if it'll get used, but of course it's for connection purposes, making the map look good, so we can get rid of all these tiny dirt roads across the map eventually. But we're going to start here, get this going across the river, and then see where it goes from there. So almost immediately off the end of this highway, we have a pretty interesting dilemma where we need to decide if we want to go over or under this set of tracks here. I think going over would be pretty easy, but the only issue with that is that we would need to come back down, and I'm hoping the goal is we can pull a highway off somewhere over here and bring it all the way over to where sort of this plateau is. And we want to keep it at about the same height. So if we bring this up to level, we can see it's significantly higher over on this end. And we might try to go with a bridge like this. Although that's a massive bridge, so maybe we won't cross it like that. As much as I'd like to have a huge sort of mega project, I think this bridge might just be a little bit too big for what it's worth. So maybe we will actually go into a tunnel and we can come out lower, maybe somewhere down here, where the bridge won't be quite as massive, but we can still connect somewhere over here. Maybe we'll do some landscaping, or maybe we'll come out over here instead. But I think let's pull this back a little bit so we have some more space to go underground and get to the level that we want to. So I think right around here would be a good goal for the height. Let's worry about sort of the angle it comes in at later. Let's just see if we can get this highway connected decently. So this wouldn't be too terrible, taking a look at this. The slope doesn't seem to be too bad, and it doesn't get too close to the station. So I think now let's think about if we were to make a bridge at this height, where it would need to go. So it seems like if we land somewhere over in this area, that would probably be best. Now, the next issue we have to deal with is actually this set of tracks now. So let's first delete these, and then we'll rotate this so we can get a pretty straight bridge across the river. And we'll go probably right about there, I'd say. Okay, so we were able to get this connected up. We just had to move a few things around. And now we're left off over here. And I'm hoping if we bring this straight out, it looks like it's not going to snap for us. So it seems like it's just immediately having issues. If we raise this up one click and we get a little bit of an arch, we can try to minimize that as much as possible, so we can get a really subtle arch going across here. That might not be too terrible. Alright, and then now coming over here, so it still looks like this bridge isn't going to work. even though it says it will, the supports hanging down just aren't close enough. I think now we're gonna try to pop out somewhere in this hill, and we'll come over these roads and rails over here, and we can see if we can make that work. So let's pull these back even more. We'll give it a good distance so that the slope isn't too steep when we do this. So this slope doesn't seem too terrible. It doesn't really tell us how bad it would be, but it'd be pretty steep still, but not as bad as it could be, to be honest. So let's try with this now. Let's see if we can come straight across. I think we'll have to get rid of this industry so we can make this connection. Or maybe if we come over far enough, we'll actually miss it. And if we keep it the same height, and we come over and take a look this way, maybe if we raise it. So I think this is starting to look much better. I don't want to go too steep with the arch, but we could maybe just ever so slightly raise it. And that gives us a bridge that's somewhat reasonable, much less than the almost $200,000 bridge we were trying to do before. And if we can get this to line up just right, I think we can get a really nice looking bridge out of all of this. Alright, so I think this is the bridge that we're going to go with. We will click that, and hopefully we can just do the same exact thing if we can keep these close enough together. Hopefully this doesn't look too bad. We will have to match pretty much everything about these bridges so that it looks good. Alright, and here is our bridge. We're able to line them up pretty much as close as we can, since unfortunately these bridges don't really align when you put them next to each other or snap next to each other. But I think we're able to get something that looks really good, and it's all still pretty even and looks pretty good from a distance. So the next thing I think we're going to do is bring our highway somewhere over to here, where then we'll have a larger road that'll connect to Albuquerque, and I guess it'll also bridge across here somewhere to get into the city of Winston-Salem. So we'll pretty much just place these around so that it accounts for the height changes. And then I think right about here is where we're going to try to end it. Alright, so now we have our highway coming up, and over to here, let's get our larger sort of main road connecting these two cities, and then we can connect up the end of this highway. So I think first we want to identify sort of the main road into Albuquerque, and it pretty much looks like this road here is probably that road, as it almost entirely goes continuously from one end of the city to the other. So we'll take it as that, and we can come off with a 4-lane road that will pretty much just come through here. We'll come through and fix these intersections and such that are being made, but we can pretty much have it come across here, and now we can think about how we connect over to Winston-Salem. So taking a quick look here at Winston-Salem, it almost seems like this road here could be a good one to connect, since it'll connect to our other main road that comes in this way. So let's just extend it with these city streets, and we'll have to sort of play with it until we get a curve that we like. So there we go, and I think we'll upgrade this to a 4-lane city street. So then as we come right here, we can switch over to this road and come straight across. So it looks like right about here will give us the best connection. We'll do that. And then I think I'm okay with a little tunnel there. That'll help keep the natural landscape. And I think that's this road resolved. We'll first delete this weird connection and replace the road. I think maybe we could try to get a tunnel, although looks like we have to go with a pretty severe slope to get that to go under. Maybe we could try the other way around. Maybe we could try to turn this into a bridge if we just maybe sort of meet in the middle, so bring this down a little bit like that, and then with this trying to go up just a tiny bit. So that gives us a bridge that's not too terrible and looks pretty nice here, so we'll keep that. And now we can think about how we're going to connect this highway to this road. And I think it might just be as simple as what we've done before, just connecting these up and doing sort of standard intersections. We will keep an eye on this road here. Actually, this road doesn't go anywhere, so we can actually just delete it in both directions. So there we have that road deleted, and we have this connection made. And it looks like people are already interested in using it, so that's good to see. We'll just have to keep an eye on it and make sure it's not drawing too much traffic away from our train line. Now, very few people might use this highway since we do have a pretty quick train that goes from Albuquerque to Jackson and Scottsdale and then up to Montgomery. So it might still be quicker for them to take the train, but of course it is here for them to use as a faster way to go between cities if needed. This also now connects us up with most of the cities on the map by highway. So we have Mesa, Downey, and San Jose connected by this highway over here. We have Winston-Salem and Albuquerque connected through this highway all the way up to this intersection. And then, of course, the sort of main backbone of this highway connects into Jackson and Scottsdale, as well as Montgomery. Now, one more connection that I do want to make that might actually be a little hard to do is actually a road connection coming out of Jackson. So this road here that sort of weaves up and into the mountains, I want to bring that over and connect it to this highway. I think there's a possibility to do it somewhere in here. We could add an interchange. We're a little bit tight on space, but I think adding that connection will really help drive people to use this highway and maybe even really reinforce private transportation between Jackson and the cities of Downey and Mesa all the way out here. So we're gonna do our best with this, and we're gonna delete the road that's already here, or at least some of it. We'll see how bad the slope and everything else is once we do make it. But I think we'll delete it up until about there. And then we'll start out with just a medium highway for now. And we can see it does get pretty steep. Actually, we want to use a country road, not a highway. It does get pretty steep in here, so we will still have to curve like it originally did. And then really our challenge is going up this hill and connecting over here. We can see by this slope arrow how steep it is. The city's going to keep fighting us on this, so we're just going to have to stay on top of that. We might just pause it for now. So maybe we'll try working from this side first. We'll keep this flat, or at least as flat as we can without completely destroying the landscape. So we pulled this back a bit so we get a little bit of a better slope, and this does work. We do have to sort of fill in that weird hole that was there, but it's still very steep. I mean, maybe if we use our raise and lower buttons, we might be able to get something that works a little bit better. So I think we'll start with this as a framework, and then we'll delete sort of the upper portion of this where it gets like really steep. We'll pull that back more, so this gives it a little bit more time to pretty much descend and not have such a steep slope. So that's still pretty bad. Maybe if we bring it back just a little bit more. So then this option that we came out with doesn't get too steep. I think it's actually a pretty realistic slope given the conditions. So I think we'll stick with this. We'll smooth out, make it look good. We'll continue this over this way, and we'll try to get an interchange placed here where it can connect up to. Alright, so I think this gets us close enough to where we could probably get an interchange in here and then figure out what to do at the end of this road. So next we will delete all of this highway so that we have enough space for what we want. And hopefully that'll be enough space. We should come in and flatten all this so we don't end up with any issues with our roads. Alright, so it seems like the best interchange that would probably work here is this one, and we could probably get this pretty large so we can let it sort of air out and not be so tight and condensed as we do this. So we can place this pretty much right about there, and we'll come through, and I'm not sure why it's not letting us upgrade some of these, but we'll switch the on ramps to look like on and off ramps, and then down here is where we'll connect up to this road. So these could actually just be 2-lane highways like so, and then all we have to do is connect up these again. Alright, so our main highway's back to being connected up. Let's now come to our country road here, and we'll want to bring this up. We'll have this cut through this area. We'll come back and make that look nicer, but then we can bring this around and pretty much just do this. So we'll have this highway pretty much just connect like that. And then this is going to be a little trickier, but we can just have this come around like so. So it doesn't look amazing, but it does function how we want it to. So let's clean it all up. We'll see if it works and see if it gets any use, and then maybe then we can upgrade this road to maybe 4 lanes if we need to. So of course, first we'll smooth everything out. So we'll smooth out this little ditch that we had to cut through. We'll flatten out the area around the road so we get a little bit more of a valley so that the road has some space. So that looks good. Smooth out all of these areas where the highway sort of just cut through. And then we'll just come through and do some very light touch-ups to add some texture to this area again. So there we are, and if we come into our destinations layer, we can actually see it's getting used now, and people are actually using it to come all the way over and I suppose to Downey or Mesa. And it looks like even someone from this connection is using it for that, so that's good to see. We're finally getting some use on this highway. And it looks like a lot of people are wanting to take this highway to get from Jackson over to Albuquerque or Winston-Salem, which Makes sense as the train is a little bit roundabout and out of the way, but hopefully it won't be too many people and completely kill our train network. So we'll just have to be careful of that as we continue to go through with this, but I think this leaves our highway network in a pretty good place. And we can also come back over here now and pretty much do the same thing. We'll smooth out all of this that was messed up while we were building. We'll try to keep the cliff face as intact as possible, but I think that's good. Here we'll smooth out just a little bit, so that works. And then we'll do the same thing, just give it a little bit of texture where we sort of smoothed it all out. Now we will help reinforce this connection by upgrading these roads. Looks like we might have to get rid of this one. So that should help out. The roads get very weird and very sort of messed up through here. So let's take a look and see if we can help fix that up in any way. I think first we can do that connection. Fixing this road's gonna be a little tough because we do have our bus stop there. But I think this should be fine if we bring this back through. Maybe we need to smooth out this hill just a bit. But we can get this back in like so. And our bus stops back where they were. And I think just to help with the city growing in the future, we'll create a connection there. And hopefully it doesn't create another one. But I think we can leave this for now. And these roads shouldn't get too messed up now as the city continues to grow. Now that we have that huge project done, I think pretty much the rest of this will just be going around, fixing some things that we're noticing across the map, and then we'll end it off there. So first, coming over to Stockton, let's see if we're starting to get resources in. It looks like these boats are starting to carry some things. We have some fuel. We have some more of this. I think I might send this boat back around, just so we don't have so many sort of clumped together coming into the city. And if we come here, we can see our Stockton boats do have resources waiting on their docks, so that's another good thing to see. We know that resources are getting shipped over here, and even though we don't see any on the platforms just yet, I think they are. This might be the first trip to Stockton with goods. Or maybe not. We can take a look here and see it did drop some off quite a while ago. And then just to also confirm that, we can see now the resources the city is now receiving, and that'll help bump up the population, which we will have to keep an eye on, just so that we can keep Stockton sort of the way we want it to look, as we don't really want it to grow up or into this mountain. I do kind of like that it sort of hugs this area between the cliffs and the coast. Another thing quick here while we're in Stockton is this port is completely full of people, so I think we could definitely afford to manage these vehicles. We might need to replace them. I don't know if we have any newer, quicker. Yeah, we have this ferry that's much faster now, which we'll probably replace them with. We'll keep it as just those two, since that almost pretty much doubled the capacity. So hopefully that doesn't mess things up too much. And then I think the last thing we're going to do while we're in Stockton is update the bus loop. So luckily the bus loop in Stockton is pretty simple since the city's very linear. So really all we'll have to do is, I think we just have one here, so we'll just add one stop here, another stop over here, and then the same on this end. We'll have one stop here, and then another one down here closer to the coast. So really then all we have to do is come into here, manage this line, and add in our new stops. So it'll come out to here, and then down here, back around, then after the port, it'll come out to this station, and then this station. So then the next thing we can do for this line is replace the buses, which desperately need repair or replaced. And for these, let's just go with, I think I really like these fish bowls for city traffic, since I don't think the roads ever get more than 37 miles an hour on city streets. So we'll replace all of them with these fish bowls. I think we'll just pretty much double the buses on this line, and then we can repaint those to be maybe a nice light blue color. So let's find one and take a look at it quick. Yeah, I like how these buses look, and hopefully they'll do much better than the old buses that we had running through here. So checking back in on our Downey traffic situation, it looks like things have actually cleared up very nicely for us. None of our roads are really full of traffic, and even our main road in Downey is pretty clean for the most part. There's not many cars using it, and even this off connection looks like it's getting used a good bit, but it's still not enough to overload the system. So that's something that's really great to see. Looks like we have solved this traffic issue. We still don't have any city growth over here, besides maybe this road that the city just automatically added. But hopefully soon we'll start to see buildings popping up over here. Now, one thing we haven't checked in a while is our airports and how they're doing. So over here in Mesa, we have our airport here, and it only has 7 people waiting, which is not too concerning, but seems a little low for where we are. I think maybe something that's really bringing us down is the streets not being upgraded. So we have a lot of these old brick streets still scattered about in Mesa. So I think we're going to go through and fix those, as well as any other weird intersections that we have through here. And maybe that'll help out with our buses, getting them to move much more efficiently through the city and hopefully promoting more public transportation. So I believe we're able to get all of the brick roads in Mesa. So now our next goal is to clean up a lot of these really messy intersections throughout here and stuff like this. So let's delete this and that road. We will remake this connection and then turn this into a connection there. So that's cleaned up. This whole area is a mess, but I think we could maybe do something like that. That wouldn't be too bad. Right here is another intersection that we don't like, so we'll fix that, connect those roads, and extend this one back to where it wanted to, like that. And I think we can even upgrade this back to a larger road. And then I think as for everywhere else in Mesa, it looks fairly decent. So there's maybe not too many intersections to fix, but I think maybe what we could do is really change up the bus system in Mesa, since it's really grown since we've last done that. So right now we only have one loop coming through here, and that's just a one direction loop that goes through the city. We have another one that goes between Mesa and Downey, and then another one that takes us straight to the airport. And I think we're pretty much at the point where we could probably start including the airport in our bus loops. We're pretty close in terms of location to some of the outskirts of the city, so having a bus loop come out this way might not be too terrible. So pretty much what we're going to do is take out the entire series of bus stops we have in here and essentially start from scratch. One thing we will do while we're here, I think, is make this connection. I think it's just colliding with our collision box, so that should be fixed up now. So now thinking of a nice logical way to go about the city is what's going to be tough. I think first, if we fix this road, we can get a nice loop started somewhere over here. So we have this stop, that's included. We can have another set of stops here, another set of stops up here, and then at this point is probably where we're going to start heading towards the airport, where they'll come into this station, back down into the city, where they'll make a stop right about here. I think that covers most of these connections. Maybe we could have another bridge come across here and connect. That's actually pretty flat, so I think if we straighten it up, we can get a pretty nice connection like so. We can get another stop over on this end, and then we can start working through this area of the city. Alright, so I think these stops pretty much cover the entire city, or at least like 99% of it. So then what we can do is we'll take our first loop and we'll remove everything just so we can start from a fresh, clean slate. We'll start here and we'll start in the counterclockwise direction around the city. So I think that works well for this. I think everything sort of routed correctly with that. Looks like we didn't need this road here, but maybe in the future it'll be useful. So we'll let that run. We'll come back and even out the buses afterwards. And then what I think we could do is take our airport loop, and instead of coming straight from this station to the airport, we'll just have it run in the opposite direction, since it should be now connected to everything else. So now that should work out. Looks like everything is doing just fine there. So we can let that go, and hopefully we can hit play and let it start to work itself out. We'll just double check here that these are all separated on their own platforms. So now maybe that'll help get more people around here. I know the original idea of having just a direct connection between these two is so people from Downey could come, take a bus to Mesa, then a bus to the airport, where then they'd head over to Sacramento. But maybe there's other connections that they're doing. Maybe the train is better at this point, even though I don't think we have a train connection to Sacramento yet, but I think maybe that way of thinking is just too complicated for private transportation to take, so I don't think we'd be losing out on too much demand by doing this. So let's just come back to here, and I think we'll upgrade to 12 buses going in each direction for these routes. So we can grab all these and duplicate them. So it should be 12 in each direction. And I think now our main issue is figuring out how to ease all of this traffic that is currently trying to get into Mesa. So it's interesting that we do have this problem, considering we do have our bus connection, but we don't have any connection by train. So really anyone outside of Downey coming to Mesa does have to come by their own private transportation. And this is just going to be hard to figure out where and what we want to do. Anything, really. So it looks like a lot of the traffic clears up once they're in about this area, and it might just be the intersection lengths. I think maybe we're just not letting enough cars in, sort of, per intersection. So maybe if we just clean up some of these roads and connections, it wouldn't be quite so bad. So let's get back in here with our streets. I think even if we delete these, we can have this connection there, have this road connect like so, and then I think we'll lock these two segments so that allows the cars to come through and clear out. I think a lot of it's really just allowing enough cars through here at any given moment to spread out through the city. Now another way we could maybe help out is redoing these buses. I'm not sure if we have any better, faster buses. So we do actually have this one that's 56 miles an hour. It does have slightly less power, but I think by improving our speed, that'll have more people choose to take our buses instead of their own transportation, and maybe that'll just help with whatever traffic's coming in here by Downey, maybe getting them to use the bus instead. And then, I mean, one last thing we could do if we really wanted to focus on our buses is just add a bus lane on this road all the way until it connects up over here. I'm not entirely convinced that that's necessary just yet. We can see, hopefully this traffic isn't popping out on this end yet. Yeah, so it looks like this traffic isn't all the way backed up to Downey, but I think we're definitely gonna have to start exploring more ways to get into Mesa, and maybe we'll just finally have to commit to getting a passenger train in here somehow, or maybe just more regional buses. And another thing we can see here with the traffic is everyone's in the right lane, and it looks like some of them are starting to switch over to the left lane, but that means that at some point everyone wants to turn right somewhere, and figuring out where that is tricky since a lot of these roads are pretty cleared up after one or two intersections. So again, I think the effects of some of the changes we made are still sort of kicking in. So we'll let this run, and we probably won't address it again until another few episodes in the future. But I think this leaves us off at a pretty promising area to leave the city. We are starting to get quite a few people waiting here at the airport. That could have just been because we haven't had an airplane come through here in a while, but we also haven't upgraded these airplanes in a long time. We're still running some pretty old planes on here, and as you can see, we've unlocked a lot of new planes. So let's just sort by our passenger planes, and we can just see all of the different ones that we have unlocked. We have a lot of these larger sort of jumbo airplanes unlocked, so let's just look around and see if we can find one that works best for us. So I think we'll go with these DC-10 planes as they have the most capacity, and I think they're the second fastest plane we have unlocked so far. And this might be overkill for now, but they should definitely serve us for quite a while now. And maybe even the improved speed will drive more demand on this line. But I think these planes look really good, and hopefully we can get our money's worth out of them. Now let's just take a quick look on the Sacramento side of this. We do have some people waiting here. Again, it's nothing too crazy. I think we'll just upgrade all these brick roads just to help our buses out by being able to transport people more quickly, and then we'll pretty much leave it there since Sacramento really hasn't grown much since we've first put in this airport. So now Sacramento has all new and updated roads. Hopefully that'll help out our buses with moving people around. We do have a lot of people waiting to go to the airport, so maybe we'll actually increase the amount of buses we have here. Maybe we need 6. I don't want to go all the way up to 8 because that might just seem a little overkill. But even we have 6 going around the city, which seems to be doing just fine. Nothing's really overloaded. So I think we're in a good position, and it looks like this plane will be able to get almost a full load of people, depending on how many more buses we can get up here. And it looks like the city did build up here. I guess we forgot to put our collision tile in, so that's unfortunate. We'll just clean this up, and then I think that'll be all for this episode. Alright, so we were able to clean up this parking lot, and it pretty much looks back to how it was before. Just maybe a few issues with lining up the fence, which you can't even really notice. But I think that's a pretty good spot to leave off this video. So with that, that's going to be all that we're going to do in this episode. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.